Greetings, fellow men of culture. As always, I'm broadcasting live from the Steam reviews at the peak of Thundercock Mountain. I'm starting to see this odd pattern emerge in the online gaming sphere, and it's confusing me more than when you try to make your way around your house in the dark and end up accidentally jerking off the neighbor's dog. The usual suspects run defense for every obvious Concordian disaster that's doomed to fail, then blame gamers when the games they themselves didn't even bother downloading open up nice and wide for those apathetic backshots. These people act like we, as individuals, snuck up behind some of these high-profile flops and smacked them in the back of the head with a big floppy dildo. The newest endeavor of the blue sky and Twitter freaks is pressuring Steam and/or third-party statistics websites like SteamDB to hide concurrent player counts. The argument for this is incredibly handsome, smart, and large individuals will use this information as evidence of a game's poor performance. And if you spread the word of poor performance, more potential customers become aware of a game's low quality and don't make a purchase. Steam player count being public is the worst thing to happen to gaming in recent time. I'm convinced a petition should be started to shut down SteamDB. We should not be allowed to see player counts for any game anymore, nor how many are viewing on Twitch. Petitions, of course, well known for always working. Not only do concurrent player counts on Steam not paint the whole picture when assessing a title's success, there's also not a single reason removing this data from public view would benefit anyone other than publishers. It's baffling to me that anyone would advocate for big companies over themselves in the gaming community that they claim to be a part of. The fact that these people exist at all and think this way makes me want to shit in my hand and clap in their face. The driving force behind this desire is ideology, not game quality. There's tons of recent proof that player counts go down not only shortly after a game's launch, but also as the game in question's quality wanes over long periods of time. Destiny 2 has had its peaks and valleys over the years, but the general consensus is it's slowly been getting worse and worse in recent times. The player base has lost confidence in Bungie to produce worthwhile content, thus the player numbers have been on a downward trend for quite some time. I don't see people crying for Destiny 2 to be protected from mean internet people citing the falling player base as the game's quality dipping. The same thing applies to Battlefield 6. The game launched to record-breaking player numbers on Steam for the series, only to gradually leak players like Grandma leaking all over the plastic-covered couch. These same people aren't running defense for this game either. Black Ops 7 has had the worst sales the COD franchise has seen for the last 20 years. The general gaming audience as well as the COD community are celebrating the game's poor sales because it might mean they get a better game soon. What these three games have in common are the weird Twitter and blue sky people didn't latch themselves onto the puckered butthole of these titles, suckling off of their vitality as they ride them into battle to invade the Shire. The reason for this is these games don't have an overt political message that they agree with. A game that spreads their ideology selling well is assurance to them that they are winning. If failures like Reloaded lit up the sales charts, they would assume the circular position and jerk each other off until they were shooting dust out of their tiny, deformed wieners. But since it failed, they desperately want the player numbers hidden to hide the fact that they strapped their wagon to a horse with no legs.
Oh, they took my freaking kidney!
Maybe if the numbers were hidden, they would have a degree of plausible deniability if someone made a claim that a particular title didn't sell well, since they could say, actually, you don't really know that. Don't ever let them tell you that they want this because they genuinely care about the game. They just don't want to be caught with cum on their face after they prop up a progressive title and it fails. The reality is, hiding player counts from the public is nothing but a negative for everyone. Taking away information that was previously viewable is only ever a bad thing for customers. There were several times over the years where seeing the player count of a game helped me make an informed decision regarding whether or not I want to put the time and money into a title. Games that live or die based on their multiplayer require a decent sized and stable number of active players. If I'm considering getting into a multiplayer game, I first check the price, then I get an idea of how healthy the player base is. I do this by reading the game's subreddit, reading the official forums, and most importantly, checking the Steam player count. Jumping into a dead or dying multiplayer game is a huge waste of time and money, and would just result in a refund anyway. There's a few reasons I could think of that these people want concurrent player counts hidden from the public. First is the good old dick twister. Removing one metric to judge a game's quality may result in a few more sales. If a particular customer buys a game because of how popular it is, and those people do exist, not being able to see actual player numbers will take that one part of their decision-making process out of the equation. Instead, they'll have to rely on a few other things like YouTube views, social media buzz, forum activity, and reviews, which I'll get to in a bit. Lacking a concrete player number that's easily accessible is just a pain in the ass for these customers, and won't necessarily result in that many more sales. The next reason that they refuse to just come out and say say is they want uninformed purchases. The less information potential customers have, the more they have to rely on official marketing and word of mouth. For those that are more plugged into the gaming news and industry, there's almost no way this tactic would work. We could see Concord and Highguard were going to fail from a mile away. The player counts for these games just became a source of jokes rather than a real judge of the game's popularity. However, for those that aren't as involved, this may work. For every person that pays as much attention to gaming as you or I, there's 1,000 that have no clue what's going on. I'm talking about the general gaming audience. Those that find new games by browsing whatever is new on the PlayStation Store, or the only games they ever hear about are the ones they see in commercials. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but these are the customers that this tactic is targeting. Remove as much critical information from the customer as possible, so they rely mostly on what the publisher wants them to see when making a purchase. Screenshots, trailers, and ads featuring cherry-picked positive reviews. They are banking on customers making uninformed purchases even if they know the game is bad. Unfortunately for them, there's a few reasons these tactics are completely irrelevant. Steam's refund policy is so generous that the few people that get tricked into buying a game by hiding player numbers can easily get a refund once they find out the game is bad. For those who don't know, Steam's refund policy is within 2 hours of playtime or 2 weeks in real time. You are entitled to a refund, no questions asked. This alone is good consumer protection, but even beyond that, you can contact customer support if you fall outside of that criteria, but still have a legitimate reason to ask for a refund. Steam will sometimes just give you a refund with no customer support contact as long as you don't abuse the refund rules. There's a notable case with Ashes of Creation, a failed MMO, that shut down after taking people's money for the game itself, monthly subscriptions, and cash shop cosmetics. After the announcement that the game was shutting down, the massive amount of refund requests Steam received in such a short time prompted them to freeze all outstanding payments to the developer in order to prevent them from taking off the money before refunds could be processed. Whether you can see concurrent player counts or not, Steam sides with their customers 99% of the time. Tricking someone into making an uninformed purchase will most likely result in a refund. It doesn't benefit whatever game they're dick riding at the moment anyway. The next reason hiding the player count won't work is Steam reviews. While the system has its problems, like players leaving a review after 2 minutes of playtime, overall, this is a great way to judge whether you like a game or not. For all of the meme reviews, which are funny, there are genuinely well thought out critiques in there as well. Customers can get an idea of the game's quality at a glance, and if they want more insight, they can read reviews and see how long the person who wrote the review played the game. Concurrent player numbers aren't the end-all be-all of deciding a game's fate. Removing them from public view is a net negative for everyone, and will hardly move the needle in terms of sales for bad games. There's only one reason that these few people want concurrent player counts hidden. They want whatever game they've attached their personality to at the time to be successful, no matter what. Just buy the slop and eat it up like good little consumers. Relooted has a message that I personally agree with. Therefore, it deserves to be a success even if it sucks. They need the validation that comes with their current thing winning. Actual customers be damned. Just shut up and buy it, you filthy, sexy bigot. People using low player numbers as ammo to mock a game should be last on the priority list. Number one should always be making a good game that people actually want to play. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'd greatly appreciate a like and subscribe. If you want to see how Marathon may end up tanking Bungie, check out the video on screen, and I hope to see you all in the next one.